could it be haste is making me? What's time at a thing to kill or keep a fire or lose or living? I gotta go faster, keep up the pace, just to stay in the human race. I could go supersonic, the problem's chronic. Tell me, does life exist beyond it? When I need to sate, I just accelerate into oblivion. Into oblivion.
Buenos nachos, amigos, and welcome to another fine episode of Record Breakers. I am Petey Rave, your man with no plan. Here with me is my usual quorum of yahoos. We got none other than Drew.
Hey.
Brett.
Hey.
And we got Patrick.
Hey.
We are gathered once again to discuss music, as we always do. This time, I am the provider of the music, and we're gonna have a very interesting, group. We're venturing back into the land known as Daehanminguk, better known as the Republic of Korea. A veteran group that's been around since the mid-90s. Group by the name of Jaurim. Their album Goodbye Grief. They're a group that kind of officially debuted on their own label in '97, though they've been like doing indie music since before then. And they're a fascinating group that I decided to take a look at to kind of delve further into Korean music. I got to start with Patrick. What expectations did you have coming into this album?
I was told it was Korean, and that was about it. So I didn't know. Our last venture into Korean music with Love X Stereo ended up being something I really enjoy and actually still listen to fairly regularly. So I'm open to new things, and this was a new thing.
Mm-hmm. And Drew, what expectations did you have coming into this album?
Well, you said we were going to dive deeper into Korean music, and so far my sort of outlet into Korean music, I guess you could say, is Love X Stereo, which you brought up, and random crap I hear while watching StarCraft tournaments. So yeah. I guess that's pretty much it. So I thought, we're diving into maybe the outlet that annoys me in like Korean pop music, and I was worried about that, but other than that, I was like, all right, well, he brought us something really, really fantastic, like Swagger said, with Love X Stereo. So I was ready to jump on the train again and see what it was all about.
Mm-hmm. Brett, I'm interested. What expectations did you have coming into this album?
I knew that it was going to not include my native language because you told me that. And I was prepared to try and review something solely based off of their instrumentation and how they make their voice go. How they make it go.
Yes, how they make it go.
Make it go.
Yeah, speaking of making it go and their instrumentation and vocals, themes and elements. Those basically are the themes and elements of this group. A big thing is their instrumentations and their arrangements, how they work their instruments, how they work their melodies and their harmonies. But the bigger thing and the most recognizable thing is the vocals. The lead singer, the most well-known person of the group, in fact, to the point where there's jokes made on SNL Korea about where they have people try to recognize the group without the lead singer present. And nobody can do that because nobody really knows the other three guys. They know Kim Yuna, the lead singer, and for a couple of reasons, because she's the face of the group and she's a lovely lady, and because she has these dynamic vocals that really kind of she can convey a really cool emotion, really cool kind of plays around really well. They're familiar with some other groups that I think reminiscent of some old other vocalists, like you get a little Cranberries vibe, you get a little Janis Joplin vibe, but it's very interesting vocals, and of course like the arrangement. Those are the kind of the themes and elements you're going to kind of be looking for. I'll start with Patrick. Patrick, what would be the themes and elements that stood out for you?
So my initial impression, I'm 30 seconds into the first song, was Korean Bjork. And I mean that in a really good way. Like, Bjork's kind of known for having like a kind of a batshit crazy voice. She like, modulates a lot and does a lot of interesting things. And, I don't understand the language one bit, but like the first thing you hear is her voice, and it is freaking spectacular. Like it's a little Korean Bjork, I think, is probably the way I felt about the vocals, at least. Musically, it hit or miss for me throughout the album. There were some songs that musically I really enjoyed, and some that I could have lived without. They just didn't get me. But again, like the big thing through the whole album was her voice, which I don't understand a word she says, but whatever she's saying, I'm interested.
Yes. Drew, what would be the things that drew attention to you?
Well, to me, it starts out with something that carries through the entire record, which is really catchy piano. I really like that. Keyboard work in this style of like sort of pop music, I think, is really nice. You have a lot of sort of tempo changes all throughout the record. And I think they work best personally, if I were to say it, when they're a little more faster paced. Their slower songs, like Swagger said, those were the songs that really didn't hit me as much. They're like just sort of the composition of the songs is really, really solid. They're all really super catchy. And I really wish I could have understood more, because her voice was absolutely fantastic. She's a really strong vocalist. And yeah, the whole album, I was like, I wish I could understand what she was saying, because she was saying it so beautifully. Like, it was, I don't know, it was that sort of thing for me.
Yeah, she's fantastic vocals. Brett, I would love to know, what were the themes and elements that caught your attention?
Well, this going from like start to finish, this is a very, very sterile sounding album. Nothing that's in there was not planned to be in there. It was very, very well done. I don't think there are errors in this album. I think that every single note was hit the way that it was meant to. It did have a little bit of well, obviously for the synth use, but there was a little bit of a digital feel to it on some points, but they made up for it in other parts, like the piano sounded really well. There was, a lot of synth and symphony swells before choruses, and, the piano played by itself to set a hook like, pianos do, when you do that stuff. It does pretty much anything that a songwriter could want to do to invoke an emotional response to a chord change and a melody. But they really strayed away from a straightforward arrangement on every song. There's all kinds of tempo and size of the accompaniment changed all through the album. Mm-hmm. It was very different from track to track as well.
Yeah. It was very, very, it was fascinating. It's a bunch of really cool tracks that, kind of convey that. Like it starts off, some of the key tracks, get to the key tracks part. Some of the key tracks, like one of the things, I think the running theme, and I've mentioned this again and I'll mention it again. We're getting into, metaception. But one of the running themes in this show is the opening track, and I think the opening track does kind of set an interesting pace for the album, of emotionally, with Anna. You can kind of see as soon as she opens up her mouth and starts singing, you kind of see you get the emotion that she starts to carry throughout some of the different songs. Other songs like Dear Mother, has one of those, tempo changes that, you guys were talking about. is a fascinating song that starts off kind of this slow song and then gets into this kind of like this just kind of rock and roll-ish up tempo thing. Other cool songs like Tempest, really cool, interesting guitar work. And Icarus, they're kind of their promotional track, the one that has a music video for it, is another fascinating song. Really cool video for it too. And it just kind of has this power and this dynamic to it. I'll go with Drew this time. What song stood out for you?
For me, there was a couple that really stood out. The opening track, as we go along with this theme, apparently, all the time, the opening track started out really strong. It was sort of a breath of fresh air. It was light, lighthearted. It was fun, as per the title of the song, Happy Day. Then the second song, Idol, was the first one that,
I think you're talking about the wrong album. Was the opening track was Anna.
Oh, motherfucker. I listened to the wrong album.
Did you really?
Yes.
I downloaded
Good times.
It was in the Dropbox.
Yeah, no, it was...
Sweet. You can have your review of the other album while we do our review of this album.
I feel really bad. I thought
I linked the
Drew.
Yeah, no,
How we still make fun of Petey for losing episodes? We're gonna make fun of you for this for a while.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Like, I put it in my music folder, and then that's supposed to go to my Google Music Drive, and that was the album that popped up.
Yes.
Thanks, Google Music. You're great.
I love Google Music, but
I don't. I hate it. It's
I
terrible.
didn't double check this one was the problem.
Yeah.
So what other track should we listen to, Drew?
On this album that I listened to, the second track, Idol, was a really fun one. Red Rain, I liked. Apparently this still wasn't the album. And then from me at iwaswrong.com was really cool.
Yeah. There's some fascinating tracks.
I would really love to listen to the album we were supposed to listen to, and I feel horrible.
It's alright.
We're gonna have to give you some homework. You're gonna have to come back next time with an essay or something.
Yes, some makeup work. Patrick, I'll ask you. What tracks stood out for you?
So to go against the theme, I didn't really love the opener. I have nothing wrong with it. And I'm going to cross some cultural boundaries, and I don't mean to be offensive to anyone, but it sounds like the ending theme of an anime to me. And yes, I know anime is traditionally Japanese and this is Korean, but the languages, because they're so foreign to me, sound relatively similar, and that I don't understand anything they're saying. Yeah. But it felt like an end of anime song, and probably as that it would have been really good, but as a song on an album, it was just okay. The one like the first two songs didn't love. The third song, which for the purposes of this, because I don't know what it is, we're calling Mima, I guess, was fantastic. I love that song. It's my favorite on the record. Really good organ. Bass part's even better. I like the feel of it. I like the sound of it. It's kind of different than almost everything else. And I really liked that one. And and Icarus, which to me sounds like Korean Depeche Mode. It's very 80s synth pop in all the best ways, and that's my kind of thing. And those two songs were sort of the two that really stood out, and I think I would agree with Drew's assessment of the other album that he listened to that wasn't the right one. The more upbeat tracks are the ones I enjoyed more. Whereas like the softer stuff, I don't want to say I got bored with it because her voice is really, really good, but they didn't suck me in nearly as much as sort of the either dancey or faster songs.
Brett, what would be some of the tracks that stood out for you?
I'm not going to make a joke about Drew. I'm sorry, Drew. I feel for you. I'll give you a hug. But I was a really. There were only two songs that really stood out to me. The Dear Mother, it was a piano ballad that was done to an okay effect that then turned into a heavier song. But it was my first introduction to Korean gospel backup singing, which I didn't know existed. Which I will have to put that down in the notes as things that I have seen. But you know, when it comes to the vocals, the song Tempest, the using the voice in a manner that is not as high as it can go, not as low as it can go, but doing it in a comfortable range and doing it without extra flash and doing it well, it worked. You know, I don't have a damn clue what they're singing. They could be singing about the arcade machine Tempest, for all I know. But
Be fucking awesome, by the way.
Well, but you know, it's an okay song.
Yeah, some tracks on there. Yeah, and I have to agree with you guys that I understand where when it's slower, guys might not dig on it, and some of the faster tempo stuff could be the more attractive parts of the songs. I would say and you know, the vocals are just, you know, phenomenal, and yeah, there's some fantastic tracks, even more songs like Muchike or Rainbow. Some other fantastic tracks, or even like the closer. But yeah, it's some interesting music. I'm glad to hear your opinions. But let's go back around the horn to some final conclusions. Drew, just give us some final conclusion about the album you actually listened to, because
my final conclusion's on the wrong album.
But it's still on Jaurim
on the band as a whole.
Sound. Yeah.
As a whole, I really enjoyed the things I heard. I would really like to get a hold of the record I was supposed to be listening to. But they had some really cool stuff. It's obvious that they've been doing this for a while, because they very, very much know what they're doing. Like Brett said at the beginning, there's not anything there that you would think, oh, they haven't thought this through a million times. It's very gone over. It's very fine-tooth comb. This is exactly what we want. We're in here, and that's where we're going. That's our goal. And they hit it. At least on the record that was the wrong one.
Yeah, but I would say that still fits for this record as well. I think it's just something about the band as a whole. Dang you, Google. Patrick, what would be kind of your conclusion about the album and the band as a whole?
The album, I enjoyed some of it. I didn't enjoy all of it. I didn't hate any of it though. Like it ranged from between this song's okay to wow, this song's really good. Her voice, I think, is worth the price of admission. Like it just because it's something I don't think most people have ever heard before, because frankly, we don't get a lot of Korean music in this country, and it's a language that's very different than the ones we usually hear, unless, you count Psy and that whole summer. But it's unique. It is absolutely, I think, worth a listen for her voice alone. And some of the songs are really, really good, and I really like them.
Yeah, some fantastic tracks. Brett, I would like to know, what would be your thoughts on the album as a whole?
On this album or Huey Lewis's Sports? Because I don't know, this album, it's indicative of what little of Korean music that I've heard. It's very, very well done. There's a lot going on. There's sometimes, there's so much music going on at once that when it breaks back down to one person and one piano, you sort of see that, okay, when you cut through the mix, there's some real good in there. There's fantastic vocals that stay below the range of the ear piercing, to the point that it's painful to listen to for a whole album, pitch of, a lot of, female artists, in any genre,
she doesn't do the VH1 divas tangents with the
it's not the
There's no hand waving.
no ladies' night or lady. You get the point. Everybody's seen VH1. And it's by far not the worst album that we've listened to. It's not my favorite, but I did get Korean gospel backup singers, which that's if my next album needs to have Korean gospel backup singers in it, just where can I get some of those?
Yes,
I'm guessing Korea.
Korea or LA, either way. But yeah, I think overall as an album, it's a very interesting album. I had originally picked this album semi-blindly. I knew the single. I had originally considered this album semi-blindly for this show. Because I was like, okay, and I linked an article in the doc of a bunch of artists. It's an article about 11 artists that everyday Koreans actually listen to. And I thought, well, let's present. I wanted to present something to the group that would be, of that list, of that, indicative of that. And I ended up downloading it just as like, okay, let me check this out. And I actually really ended up really digging it and the dynamics and the way it kind of plays around with the music. And it's like you guys said, honestly, it's not the. I don't know if this is going to be one of my all-time favorites. I just barely started listening to it, but I dig it, and I've really been digging it recently. I've been really listening it over and over again, especially now for this show. But it's got some fantastic vocals, some fantastic musical arrangements, and it's something worth listening to for y'all. But that being said, I'll have to take it to the main event of the evening, our haiku reviews. I'm gonna start with. So let's just pull this Band-Aid off, Drew. Drew, so you can go, you can get your thing in and go away. What is your haiku review?
Well, luckily it has nothing to do with specifics. That's fantastic. Yes. As a lyric guy, wish I understood any. The music shines through.
Mm-hmm. Patrick, what is your haiku review?
A commanding voice, very decent music too. Wish I understood.
Brett, what is your haiku review?
Calling a little bit of an audible here. Can't understand much, but I can tell you guys it's not the one Drew heard.
And then my haiku review is dynamic vocals and arrangements that transcend language barrier. Language barriers. Language barriers.
Yes.
All right. Anyways, that's it that's our thoughts on the album as a whole. If you want to listen along and play along at home, Record Breakers is the home game that our runners up win as a consolation prize.
I get to be playing this game this time.
Yes. Go to check out our playlist on Beats Music and I believe Rdio. Wait, where else? Spotify. Anywhere else you want us, we'll put up a playlist. Do that thing. Let us know. For Record Breakers or recordbreakerspodcast@gmail.com. On that playlist, on those playlists, is going to be our next album. Patrick, what is it that we're going to be discussing next time?
So I'm going to bring back the dance music. And basically the album I've been listening to on a constant loop since I heard about it and listened to it, Duck Sauce and their debut album, Quack.
That will be next week, and hope you all look forward to that. But that's all for us. You can find us all over the internet. Patrick is at the Swagger. Brett is at Hibbity-Bibbert, HIBBITYBRBBARD. Drew is at XDruciferX. I am at PD Rave. The show is at 4 Record Breakers. RecordBreakersPodcast.com, Rebelli.net. That's it. Yeah, check us out, iTunes, Stitcher. Subscribe to the things, rate, review, share, and whatnot. Good luck to South Korea in the World Cup. Dehamingu fighting. But until next time, hasta los huevos.
Goodbye, Drew.
Good night, Moon.